It really does, and it's going even faster and faster because there's not an off season. Because the way recruiting goes, sometimes you slow down. It seems like it's just speeding up as far as because the recruiting is never ending. So from that standpoint, it definitely is.
Just talk about the advancements that we made from a support staff standpoint to a coaching standpoint, and then an indoor practice facility.
Exactly right. We're getting pieces in place. We got to continue to grow in all phases, but they're making things a lot easier, giving us more tools to work with, and allowing us to stay more consistent in our planning and our organization. So these things are all very much needed.
What was it like the other day when you had the rain come down and you could just dip inside?
It was very good. I mean, because you could not miss a beat. You can see now from the continuity standpoint, and it's going to help you organizationally, structurally, everything it does, and just going and getting those last 15 reps. I mean, and you got your work in, you're out, and it was great to have. It was almost like I said, I was waiting for the first time to do it, and wasn't even supposed to have rain that day. But that's the thing that's the thing in Florida. You get it, you get it at all times.
What excites you most from what you've seen the first 5 or 6 days?
I think attitude. I really do. I think our attitude of our football team has been the most exciting. Now, that attitude is usually very good as 5 or 6. We're going to see as we get into the dog days, and the ability of communication throughout the whole football team and the organization, from coaches to players, players to coaches, players to players, and even coaches to. I think we feel everyone's on the same page, heading in the same direction. Very excited for that.
You mentioned after the first day about the kind of the enthusiasm that Jameis showed, that if you weren't going to take away his joy, you didn't want to do that no matter what. How nice has that been to see that kind of, it's not only him, but it extends through your line, whatever it is.
It does. It extends as a football team. I think our team we have fun now because they know the standard, they know the work ethic, they know what they got to do, and now they're doing it, but they're starting to excel at it. They're even taking more attention to detail from that standpoint. And this team is developing its own personality, its own identity.
What is it like to coach a player like that? Because, that's something, no matter how hard you try, you can't coach the enthusiasm.
No, and you don't want to take it out. And it's because a guy is not enthusiastic doesn't mean he's not a good player. But, you got to let them be themselves if it stays within the structure of the organization and is what's best for winning and being successful.
Just what are the first few days been like? Because obviously you're always ironing out kinks, but you can tell the guys seem to have a little bit extra pep this year.
Well, I do. I think there's some newness on defense, and it's nothing wrong with what we did before. But it's like, we're at Christmas. There's some new things out there. I want to learn them. Hey, maybe this can help me. I like what we did before, and we're going to use that. But there's I get a few extra toys at Christmas here that I can play with. Offensively, new roles, new development, things we're doing that are differently on offense. Get a new quarterback, so we got a new leader. So I think it's helped the focus of the other guys knowing, make sure I do my job so these young guys can get comfortable. And I think they're feeding off each other.
From the first, spring camp, would have been your first time as head coach in 2010. Mm-hmm. From that point to now, what is the one thing you felt like maybe that you've either changed the most in, or you felt like that's the kind of the area I wanted to grow in as a head coach?
Well, I think the off-field player development. I think it's critical in our day and time now because of social media. Because, as I say before, kids can't be kids. Everything they do, and understanding, teaching them the importance of who they are, the microscope they're under, but how to handle that. Not just that, but how to handle that and deal with that and still be a kid and have fun. And know when to have fun, when not to have fun, when to be smart about decisions. And there's so many different things coming at these guys now because of college football is becoming, it's becoming a mecca of people love it. And everybody's involved in it. Everybody wants a piece of it. And so understanding these guys, watching them develop as people around this whole pressure cooker of the things that go on, it's even changed since I've become the head coach in the last 3 or 4 years. Everything is constantly changing. I think keeping our development there where a lot of folks can't see what's going on, but keeping those changes for these kids so they can be successful.
We have to talk to Coach Pruitt today. What's he like to kind of coach with? Because he said this is the first time you guys actually coached together, but you've known each other for so many years.
Exactly right. Very organized, very structured. Knowing how I want things done, been very good. We have a lot of very similar philosophies, and that's what I liked when we talked. And how we did things out, and he telling me, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to practice, this is what we're going to do. But he's very organized, very structured, and knows what he's doing.
Something I've always wanted to ask you about, because Lane gets a shot of it before every single game. You have your 2 sons out there with you before every game. As a coach, what is that moment like to actually have them there, and for everything that Ethan has been through too, to actually see him run out of the tunnel too?
Well, it is. It's just the joy that we as coaches sometimes we take care of. Everybody else's kids don't take care of our own. I don't want to be that dad, and there's things that it kills me to miss things in which they do. Sometimes it's you have your job, you have to do it. But our number one goal is to be a husband, to be a parent, then do what we do. Coaching is what I do. It's not who I am. I love it. It is a part of me. But my family is the most important thing. God and my family are the two most important things in my life. And I want to share as much time and want them to enjoy this, me being the head coach, as much as they possibly can.
And that's got to be neat, having them travel with you after a win or loss on the road. They're there.
It puts things in perspective and makes things that are important during the tough times and during the great times and watching their joy. It's amazing how you see them live, eat, and breathe just like the fans do. It's just, I mean, and it engulfs in them. And sometimes I wish it wasn't so important to them, but it's who we are, and it's just great to share it and be there with them.
Sometimes we never get to ask you these kind of questions that are not on media day.
Exactly.
What do you do to relax? I mean, what do you do like when you go home? If it's obviously camp is different, but when you go home from a regular day of work, what is the one thing you want to do? Is there a TV show you want to watch? Is there a certain food you want to eat?
No, there's really not. I mean, it's just I want to go home and see my family. I want to see my wife and I want to see my boys and sit on the couch and whatever they're watching and what I'm watching. They'll say I watch what I watch. I control the TV when they get home. They throw me the room. They're starting to fight me for it now. It's getting me, but just to sit there and enjoy with my family those moments of unwinding and sitting down and asking what goes on with their day, and then if whatever games they got something for me to play, they'll be wanting to play something or do something or compete in something in some way, shape, or form. But that to me, that's my best relaxation.
As good as the defense was last year, how important was it that the veterans brought in to coach for 100% and there's no pushback in what they're doing?
I think it's very critical, and I think, here's when there's pushback. When they realize it's like anything, whether you is with a boss you have or somebody that takes over in a new position, when you sit down with the guy and he starts talking and telling you things, you have a general idea, does this guy really know what he's talking about? And then when you start to apply the things in which they tell you, are they successful? That's where your pushback comes from. If they're having success and see where they can be successful, there's generally not pushback. And I think our upperclassmen and understanding, and like we told them, we're going to keep doing the things we did. We're going to add a few toys to our arsenal that we can use at certain times. And I think a little different philosophy at different times. And kids like change, but they understand that we don't need to change a lot of things. We just need to have enough to mix in there. And I think his ability to present things to them and them show that they can be successful in them, and him knowing what he does, I think has been very critical too. But our upperclassmen have been tremendous in accepting that role.
This is really kind of back to the very first question where you're starting to get into those dog days at camp now. Is that where the leadership really comes?
No doubt. That's where football's not fun. I mean, do I truly love football? Or do I just like being on the team, being a football player? There's a difference. We talk about that all the time. Do you like being a football player or do you love football? If you love football, you love everything about it. The lifting, the running, the physicality, the treatments, the soreness, the tiredness, the mental conditioning part. I mean, you love all of it, and that's what you have to do if you want to be a champion.
You've done these open practices for several years now. Why do you think it's important to give fans this opportunity?
Well, I want them to see the guys they don't get to see. They get to see the game. I want them to see how hard these kids work. I want them to see the price they pay and think about this on a day-to-day basis plus the off season, and for the fans just to get an appreciation for our players, but also our players of how much they mean to these fans. I think today is a day that I think they can feel that appreciation, how many folks live, eat, and breathe through our organization. And I think that's very important for both sides to understand, just like it's give and take on both sides. And I wanted to have some small access to some of our players.
You get to sign a bunch of stuff for fans over Fan Day. Mm-hmm. What's the strangest thing you've ever had to sign? Because I'm sure you signed some strange things.
Something. I don't know if I think it. I guess I've done so many. None of it's strange to me anymore. I mean, you can sign anything. I mean, from I don't even know. I mean, people, there's pictures. They'll bring an old seat. There'll be a tire. There'll be. I mean, as I think about it, it's been everything under the sun I've signed. So I don't think anything's strange anymore.
I got a quick one. James Wilder, he said he's trying to get the formation with him and Vontae called Wild and Free. He kind of joked around. He said he was trying to convince you to change it to that name. He's like, maybe I need to rush for 1,000 yards or something before he'll change it. Is that kind of a funny thing between him and you? Or?
He jokes all. He loves it. Wild and Free. I'm more Wild and Free. No, I mean, you do name personnel group. That's how you name them. You know what I mean? So. We got a name for it. If he'll stay consistent and play well, maybe we will change it.